Well, it's the next morning and we are where we landed last night here at the bottom of Lock 24, Douro Lock. It's a nice quiet evening. It was really windy by the time we pulled in here. It made for a nice cool evening because the humidity dropped right off, so it was comfortable for sleeping. And today we are heading that way through that lock, the next lock, and the lock after that to our next overnight destination, a place you may recognize from the past. If you remember when we were driving through here yesterday, there was a clunky clunk. We hit something on the bottom, so I dove down, put my swim goggles on, dove down and did some investigation, took the GoPro, looked underneath. So the running gear, everything looks fine. I think we just may have just stirred up a branch or something that hit the hull. So no damage, all good. Shopping and laundry.
Perfect.
Thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you again. Great. Take care. Now there's an extremely rare sight. Anchor girl wearing a sweater. It's a little bit cooler this morning. The sun hasn't come out, so it's nice and comfortable. Now the good thing about today's run is that we've only got the one lock that we just went through, which was 24. The next one, which is 25. And then after that, of course, is 26, which is the Lakefield lock, and we are going to be staying not on the top side of the lock, but we're going to go right through to the marina because it's going to be laundry day and shopping day and beer store day. As many of you know, I drink Corona Light, not the regular Corona. I will drink Corona, but I prefer the light, and that stuff is really, really hard to get. Even there's some beer stores that don't stock it at all. Most liquor stores don't stock it, and even the beer stores that get it, it's they don't always have it in stock. Now recently, if you watch my video from a while back when we were heading southbound, I had mentioned that Anchor Girl was reading online on Facebook that the liquor store was maybe running out of booze. And the issue is not running out of booze necessarily, but it was their delivery system, the software that they had set up was not working as hoped for, should be. So a lot of liquor stores were a little bit shy on the booze last weekend. And the liquor store in Ontario are the ones that import all imported beer, non-domestic beer into Ontario. So all the Corona, Corona Light, and anything else that's coming from outside of Canada has to be ordered in through the liquor store, the LCBO, and then the LCBO disperses it to the beer stores. So that's why there's that that disparity. So I phoned the beer store here in Lakefield last night, like at 10 to 6. They closed at 6, so of course nobody answered. So I'm going to try them again this morning when we get there to see if they got the Corona Light in stock. Hopefully they do, and if they do, I will go pick some up. This is a shot of the bottom side of one of the dams that they're reconstructing. A lot of that work going on throughout the system. This is why some of these locks are not available for overnighting, because they don't have full services. It's just easier to keep the public away while the construction's going on. But good to see. Hopefully all the work should be done for the beginning of next year's season, for the 2020 season. Sure. Okay, come on. Just show you what it looks like up close and personal. Again, it's just wrapped around the cable, and I got it cleated off just for the time being, but once we start actually ascending the lock, I'll take that off and I'll just kind of hold it like that. And the idea is that if, and it's been known to happen, that the line could get snagged somewhere here on the cable, because this is a metal cable and it's wrapped in plastic, because sometimes they get cut or chafed or whatever. I've only seen that once so far on this trip. But if it gets stuck and it's tight and there's a lot of motion here and you're not paying attention, especially a smaller lighter boat, that could get stuck, and a boat could actually, and like I said, it's been known to happen on smaller boats, the whole boat could tip up this way or that way and potentially flip right over. So that's why you mind the lines. Lock staff is supposed to tell you that when you go through anyways. And this is what it looks like out here. As you can see, the lock gates are closing. Well, one is anyways. Yes, on our downbound trip, we had a very sad and unfortunate accident. Squeaky, the bow rail bird, is gone. It's only now a week and a half later that I can talk about it with you. When we're coming through the lock, it was pretty horrific, but it happened so fast, like all accidents do. Poor little Squeaky was knocked off his perch into the water, drowned, never to be seen again. If you miss it on Facebook, we had quite the ceremony. Many people were offering their condolences, shared in the grief, but thankfully everybody had good positive memories, warm memories of Squeaky. He'll be missed, but not forgotten. Love you, Squeaky. So I called the marina when we got out of the lock because if you know from my previous videos, Lakefield Lock and Lakefield Marina are just, you know, a few thousand feet away. So I called and gave me a heads up that we're coming in, just find out where they wanted us to park, and only to find out that the wall is still full. There's still four boats that were there last night, and she says, but one's supposed to leave. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just wait out here in Lake Cachuanuka. And I said, when the first boat leaves, whatever boat leaves, I'll just pull into their slip. I said, because I know they're all going to be loopers, and I'm sure they're all going to be peeling off the wall very soon. And she says, no, everybody else wants to stay for the night, which is unusual for loopers to stay at a place like this for a second night.
All pulled up, we could get in there.
Yeah, but there's that little bend. Yeah. So we are just waiting. She said she would call me back when somebody was leaving. She said they're supposed to leave at 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock now, so I just come out to the lake, spun around, and I'm just going to head by there really slow to see if we can put the pressure on them to leave. Now, this is unusual for loopers to leave so late. Like I said, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. Those guys usually up the crack of dawn or earlier, 5:15 a.m. Thank you very much. And they're on their way, so I don't know what the reasoning would be behind staying a little bit later, but it doesn't matter. It's all boating. Now, the reason that we are going to stay here tonight is because Anchor Girl informed me that we have 2 nights of food left on the boat. So I said, even if we stopped somewhere and went to a restaurant tonight, it's only 2 nights. And our next options would be Bob Cajun and Fenland Falls, both of which are sketchy to get on the wall and tie up because you can't make reservations. So I said, let's just fill up, stock up, and spend the night. We'll spend half the day doing what we got to do: laundry, food, beer, top up with water and everything. And then tomorrow when we leave, we just need to stop quickly for some gas on the way at the next spot. And then we don't have to worry about it because we like to do a breakout and be back to Lake Simcoe within a couple of days. 3 days at the most, because we want to head up to Georgian Bay and take you guys along. So we're just going to sit here and wait for a little bit. It looks like the boat on the end is preparing to leave, so I'll just take it slow and easy. And yes, it's another beautiful day. It is slightly on the chilly side, which is a welcome relief. Anchor Girl still has her sweater on. Even the lock staff at 26 said it was a little bit nipply out. That's okay. It's nice and dry and a little bit cooler. For me, t-shirt just working perfectly. So I like it. And it's nice that it's cloudy today as well. Not getting baked in the sun, because the last few days were so freaking hot. It was so hot. Okay. Lakefield Marina. Next up. So as we sit here at our current destination, our current stop for the evening, we are at
It's not Hastings.
there you go, it's not Hastings. Inside joke. It is Lakefield. We're at Lakefield Marina, and we're just here for the afternoon and night. And one thing came to mind, one discussion that Anchor Girl and I had, I think it was last night, where Anchor Girl says, I don't think a year will be long enough to do the Great Loop, simply because, as you know, we don't travel very well insofar as we don't like the long days on driving. I don't mind so much, but when it's really hot like it has been this year, we've done a couple 5-6 hour runs, and it's really exhausting by the end of the day when you're in the sun and it's hot and sometimes you don't get any breeze. It is
if you're having to do locks.
Yeah, especially going through the locks like we've been doing many locks so far on this trip. It gets quite exhausting. So doing that for 5.5, 6.5 hours in a day, you're just wiped. And then by the time we get to where we get to, tie up, have a cool, refreshing beverage or two, and then set up the barbecue and get that done, and then clean up and have a shower or swim or whatever. By the time you know it, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the day is done, and you're wiped out. Not that that's a bad thing, because it's a happy exhaustion, if you know what I mean. It's happy that we did something that day. But the thing of it is, the loop is upwards of 6,000 miles, depending on the route you take. And if we're going to stop for 3 months down south, which would be the expectation, Florida, maybe you can go over to the Bahamas for a little while, who knows. But the rest of the time traveling and doing it every day, we're not going to see everything that we would like to see. Now, we've spoken to a couple of loopers who are on their second round. Actually, they're both from this area, Midland area. One was some folks that we met at Hastings Marina, not Lakefield, Hastings, a couple weeks ago, and they are just finishing up their second loop. And then we met somebody down at Trentport Marina last week, and the same thing. I'm lying. They were just finishing their first loop, but they are already planning for their second loop. I said, now that you've done it, what are you gonna do? Go home and cry in your pillow? And they said, no, we're planning for the next one, and they might do it later on this year. Just keep going. And she said the reason was because they missed so many places along the way.
But the problem also is we have to be back because of healthcare.
Yeah, periodically we have to come back to the country, which is fine if we come back for a couple of weeks.
To fly back.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, month, Christmas time, or a couple times a year, just because as Ontarians living in Canada, if we are out of the country for more than 6 months, there's two things that could happen. And first of all, we could lose our health benefits, which is called OHIP up here. It's the Ontario Health Insurance Program, which is free. So if we're out of the country too long, we could potentially lose those benefits. So anybody can. One would have to come back into Ontario, into Canada, and spend some time here, and show them your passport, prove that you're here for a little bit of a length of time before you go back. And the second fold is if you're in any given area down in the States, especially a place like Florida, they may actually consider you a resident, and you would have to pay income tax down there. So.
I guess that's why a lot of people do go to the Bahamas.
Yeah, so those are a couple of considerations, but the main overriding consideration insofar as the total time taken to do the job, or not the job, but the loop, the project, would be that if you're just traveling every day and you're doing a lot of miles every day just to get to some place and then turn around and come back, there's going to be a lot that is going to be missed. So we are considering that, pondering that, and taking that into consideration as well. I'm going to leave it at that. Think about it. Let me know your thoughts. If any of you have done the loop, or if any of you have known anybody who has done the loop, or you consider doing it yourself, what do you think the timeline would be fair for yourself to do that? What do you think would be an adequate amount of time to see what you had to see? Again, we don't want to just drive every day just to say, yay, we did it and we came home. Well, this is what we did. It's one thing what we're doing right now on the Trans-Severn Waterway, where we've gone to. We've passed through this area more than once, so we are familiar with it. We know where the nice areas are to stop, and we enjoy all of them. But if you're traveling into a brand new area and you're heading and going, you want to make sure that you have some time to stop and smell the roses, as it were, and just check out the communities and the sites and enjoy it more fully. So I'm going to leave it now. I'm going to leave it at that and leave it with you, and let me know what you think. For now, it is a beautiful summer evening, gang, and I'm going to say cheers, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.